Right.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Joe Nissim. With me, as always, is my main man, Mr. David Fuchs.
What's up,
David,
Joe?
David, how are you? Happy Friday.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good.
Life is good. It's hot in New Jersey. Everything is sweating. You got to take 4 showers a day.
Yep.
Uh,
Two minimum. Two minimum.
Two minimum. Two minimum.
Yeah.
Agreed. That
Yeah.
I don't miss.
That's even in the winter though.
You still do two in the winter? I was a
Morning,
one in the
start the day,
winter.
end the day.
You're one of those. My buddy's like that. He showers like 3 times a day, but he's OCD. So
Three is like a little bit excessive. I would do three if I was like, for some reason, like extra dirty and like did an activity during the afternoon. But like usually it's one in the morning, start the day, one in the night to end it.
when I was a kid, my my mom is a very clean person. Like you could eat off the floors in the house growing up. And so in the summer, I was a like a filthy, disgusting kid. Like just a boy. Do you know what I mean? Like just running
Yeah, of
around and like
course.
be outside all day and we would play. We didn't care if it rained or it didn't. We'd be rolling around in the mud and all that stuff. So it would be like shower before you leave. You come back in the afternoon sweaty. She'd be like, take a shower. I'd be like, no, shower, shower. And then we go back out and play again, and she'd make me shower again at night. So I haven't showered 3 times
Good.
a day since I was a kid.
Yeah, three's pushing it. I mean, you said whoever said four, like three's pushing it, but I think two is very, very like
Two is
acceptable
two
and
is acceptable.
appropriate. It's appropriate. And I actually, if you don't, it's almost like then you're either leaving the house not showering or you're coming home after being out all day, not showering before you get in your bed.
Oh yeah.
So two, in my opinion, is like almost like minimum.
And you never want to be the stinky guy on the train. Don't be the stinky guy on the train. That was disgusting. I'm short. I'm 5'5". I get caught in armpits on the train on the subway. Like I used to work up at 59th and Lex. I'd be on that 4 5 in the morning, and I would always get stuck. Somebody like standing room only. They'd be holding the thing, and I would just get a good whiff of armpit. I'm like, come on, man, take a shower. That's gross. How did we even get started on that conversation? I don't
Oh yeah, I know. We were talking
know.
about how high it is here.
So let's actually dive into what we were chatting about in our previous video and where we left off, which was at the very end of this little mini series that we were doing, the end of our first video. You mentioned that I just didn't think the exam was going to be that hard. And that's what we talked about mainly in our second video. And I think now, we've mentioned this in our first video in the series. We mentioned this in the second video of the series. I'm going to say it again, which is if you fail the exam, step one is figure out where it went wrong. And if you can't do that objectively by yourself, then talk to somebody so you can figure out an actual plan going forward because that plan it's important, but your plan can't be I'm just going to go harder. That's not actionable. That's not a recipe for success. It's like saying that you hear this all the time, right? It's like David, I need to lose a few pounds. Well, eat less and move more. Wonderful in theory, and it's not wrong per se, but what do I do with that advice? There's nothing actionable in that. So when you're sitting there and your plan is just go harder, well, what does that mean? Go harder on the learning, go harder on your flashcards, sit and learn more, right? What does that mean? Is that 30 minutes a week? Is that 60 minutes? How are you going to work that into your schedule? And I will be honest with you, planning out your schedule is a very difficult task. And this is one of the places where a lot of people get it wrong, where they go, I'm just going to keep it simple, right? KISS method, Joe. Keep it simple, right? I read, quiz, read, quiz, read, quiz. Then I go take the exam and fail 6 out of 8 topics.
Well, that and then you just described the first time that I took it.
Right.
to an absolute T.
All right. So why why doesn't that work? Why do you think that doesn't work? Like, is that too simple?
For this exam, yeah, probably. Yeah. I think probably for this exam, that's probably a little too like basic. It's not like yeah, and I remember going through it, and that's pretty much what I did. I think I did the Danko, and I would read a chapter, and then I would do the quiz, and then I read another chapter, I do the quiz, and then you do the whole module exam, and then finally you work your way up to taking an actual mock exam. And I was like, all right, I'm doing it. I'm going through. I'm doing exactly what the roadmap says. You should do. Just read, quiz, read, quiz, read, quiz, and. I remember thinking to myself, actually, like, this has got to be like not enough. I was like, there's no way that this is all you have to do to pass this exam. It almost feels like too good to be true.
I love that you said that because it feels like you're cheating, right?
Yeah, it feels like it's like, wait, like this is like almost like too easy. It can't be this easy. And if it is, then um something's wrong or this is not a legitimate exam or whatever. But I remember going through and I specifically remember saying to myself, like, I'm going through it and I'm getting through it pretty quickly and I'm kind of understanding it and I'm doing the quizzes and I'm doing all right. I'm getting something. I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like I'm actually, it feels like it's like almost dead weight. It's like popcorn muscles, like when you study that way.
David, your analogies today. 10 out of 10. Maybe I'll give you a 12 out of 10 on that one. Popcorn muzzles.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like it almost feels like it's like, all right, like it feels like popcorn muscles. It feels like a paper tiger. Like it feels like I'm like, oh, I feel like there was no like actual tangibleness to what I'm doing. I'm just going through it.
Yeah, that's right.
And
There's no
it
substance behind that. Anybody, anybody could read a section and take a quiz.
right.
Anybody can do that. And guess what? Once you read a section and take a quiz, you really think it's that challenging to read something and then take a quiz on the thing that you just read? Oh my God. Thank you, CFP programs, none that we're going to name specifically, for lighting the world on fire with this lovely learning. Where's the
Yeah.
learning? Where's the structure? Right. And I want you guys literally to think about when you were in school at any point in time, when was that ever the process for learning? When?
Listen, like some classes in high school or college, like that is it. Like, and that's where like it
No,
becomes,
David, no. You read the book, you have a class discussion, you do
yeah,
exercises in class, you discuss with a partner, you work with a group. There was never a situation where you sat in class, read it, and then took a quiz,
yeah.
right? Like there was never the case, right? Remember, you're good. Remember, teachers have to submit lesson plans where they're actually teaching you something, and then you're forced to work. I can remember like being in elementary school and learning math with blocks.
Hmm.
Like when we would learn percentages and they say, okay, now here's how we learn percentages with blocks. Take one of the 100 and that's 1%. Take two of those and now you have 2%. And so on and so on. Like I can remember that. I remember like you would try to like take notes during class and listen to the teacher, but teachers would turn around and they would have discussion and you were encouraged to participate and raise your hand. Like that was there's some level of discussion. Now I know
Yeah.
college, everything kind of is different depending on where you went to school.
Yeah, and what the class is. Like there were classes where like the teachers would pretty much just give you these slides, say, teach yourself this. And that's what I was referring to. Like there
Yeah, I
were some
mean,
classes like that.
for sure. Like I went to a state college, you went to a state college. Like a lot of times those institutions are research institutions. And the only reason that some of those people that are on staff are there to do research or get some sort of grant for the university and they got to teach a class as a consolation so they can be on
Yeah.
staff. I get it. I had some of those professors, but think about what those classes were like. They were hell,
Yeah.
right? Those
No, they
weren't
sucked.
right. Those weren't fun classes. When you're learning something to this extent, and here's the difference between here and college. This is not the CFP is not something that you're not going to take and use in your career. This is directly actionable to your career. And
For
the
sure.
earnings that you get from this and the value that you add. So we'll break it down into two parts. The earnings that you can get out of CFP for most people will be upwards of $1 million of lifetime earnings because of the value you add via CFP,
Yeah.
right? But if you now looking at on the other side for satisfaction and career and stuff, it is a lot more encouraging and motivating to do your job when you have a higher level of proficiency. You'll add more to your clients will be happier, you'll feel better about what you're doing
Yeah.
if you're better at your job. And that's ultimately creates this incredible circle of wealth, prosperity for you and your clients. So when you look at it that way, it's, take the time and effort into putting a plan into where learning is number one. You have to prioritize learning, not passing the test. Because I guarantee that if you're sitting here, you probably played the multiple choice game to some extent, where a lot of you guys skip the question. And when you skip the question, you start going in and reading the answers and saying, this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. This, and you've
Yeah.
been playing the multiple choice game for weeks, if not months. And so if that was your plan, that I'm just going to sit there through the multiple choice and pick out the right and wrong ones or what sounds right or what sounds wrong, here we are. So I tend to think that this is a really important thing for you to ask is, was my plan too simple?
Yeah.
Because if learning and there was no structure and structure that prioritizes learning, and you're not respecting the steps in learning, just remember, nobody ever reads a book and then is able to apply a concept at a high level. That's like saying
Yeah.
you watch a YouTube and now I can swing a golf club like Tiger Woods. Really? Really? That's what we do? We watch a video and now we can do it? Now, again, that makes a lot of sense. Like if I go watch a YouTube ad and video and then I'm like, okay, now I know how to shoot a basketball. Well, how do I get to a high level of proficiency, David?
Yeah, no, and it's not just like doing the one thing. Like some people are like, oh, I'll read the book and then like I'll do some questions like just to reinforce it. I guess that's like a double layered strategy, but there's before you go and like take the questions, like you need to do more. You need, like you said, you need to actually nail down the definitions, you need to nail down the calculations, the concepts, the theories, and all that stuff. That's like kind of going farther. If you're just reading and then trying to go and pass like a mock exam or like these little like practice quizzes, like you say, it's too simple and it's almost like you're not cheating, but you're not going in depth as you need to. And it's just, the strategy is just a little too simple.
Right. Well, and think about it this way. If you were somebody that wanted to learn how to shoot a basketball and you go and watch a video, okay, and then you're shooting it, but your elbow is here, right? And for those of you listening, my elbow is at, what is this? 90 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Exactly where it shouldn't be. I don't care how many times you shoot, you are going to suck because your elbow's in the wrong place. And again, you may watch that video and you're not at a place of knowledge to know, oh, I'm not even seeing it that my elbow's in the wrong spot. Right. And sometimes this is very obvious, but what if my elbow's here and it's not actually just tucked underneath where I'm getting that, where I'm following through towards the rim? Well, guess what? A great coach or some level of instruction or some type of learning will show you that. And then
Mhm.
again, learning it is one thing, drilling it is another.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
then you got to drill it. And then you got to drill it where you're doing it in live action. And then you get to the point where you have some level of mastery.
Yeah.
Remember, you have to follow the steps. You cannot cheat the steps by just doing more. Again, if you're doing it wrong, the more times that you do it, the more you're reinforcing a bad habit.
Boom.
Should we end right there?
Right there.
Well, everybody, we hope that you found this helpful. As always, with any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to David or myself. Have that honest conversation before you put your plan together. And when you put that plan together, prioritize the learning part. Have a great day, and we'll see you guys soon.